All right, friends, we're going to finish up this section, this chapter 22 is section 4 here. So we're starting to do a lot more urban planning now as a result of some of these issues with growing urbanization. And so that's what this section is about. So land use planning is a really important thing. So land use planning is about exactly what it says it is. What are we going to use the land for? How do we plan that out? So we can it encourages future urban sprawl. It's funded by different property taxes. The goal is economic development, and oftentimes when you do this land use planning, it results in environmental problems. So over here is actually a picture of some of the zoning that happens in this land planning thing. And zoning is when we take parcels of land and we designate them for specific uses. So on here, like for instance, this yellow one right here, if you see it down here, is residential. So the only things that can be put there are housing. Greens, parks, and recreation. You get mixed uses, but it kind of limits what you can put where. What does this do? Well, it favors high-priced projects. So, you know, big, huge projects have a tendency to take a little more credit here, and kind of discourages an innovative way of looking at things. And so how do we do it differently? Well, this book encourages what they call smart growth. So how we can control the growth patterns of cities, discourage the urban sprawling process, reduce the amount of car dependency, and help out with ecological issues that are within that. And so these are some of those ideas with the SMART tools. So how do we handle zoning? How do we handle planning? Tax breaks, right? Taxes, protections, and limitations. This is in your book. Definitely read through that and look at that closely. It has some good ideas in it. Okay, on to 25. Okay, so living more sustainably. What would that look like in what we refer to as an eco-city? What is an eco-city and what does that look like? So conventional housing developments, basically you bulldoze the wood, the farmland, and you just build rows of homes. So this is a typical development picture right here. So this is what it was. Put it down, knock it down, put the houses, rows down. This is how it's done conventionally. Maybe a healthier way to handle the situation is, you see there's a marsh and a pond and all those kind of things in here. We don't want to destroy that natural setting. So cluster development is a different look at how to handle this. And it's where houses are concentrated in very small spaces and not stretched out quite so much. And then you leave a lot of these open swaths of common land that everybody can use, shared open spaces. Why would you want to do this cluster development? Well, a couple of things. It can be more aesthetically pleasing and cheaper, and you notice how it's protecting many different environmental things here, which is also a healthy thing potentially. So cluster development is an idea that would help out with this eco-city kind of concept. New urbanized growing. How are we going to do that? So there's this growing movement to have these mixed villages. And so there's a good one over in Stapleton in Colorado if you ever get a chance. It's these areas where people can live in the apartment complexes and the townhouses and have living in the area. They can work in the same area, and then they can shop. So it's kind of a mixture of all three of these. I suppose that zoning thing we saw earlier, this is a way to minimize travel and all those kind of things. So this new urbanization gives you the ability to walk where you want to go. This mixed use and diversity gives options in how we want to develop things. It takes into mind quality urban design. So there's somebody looking at the big picture and how everything works together, and that's important. And then it can be environmentally sustainable potentially as well. So different way of looking at how cities should be developed and what that should look like. So we're using these parts to redesign our cities, and we're going to create these lovely little eco cities, or these green cities. And the focus on these green cities is all of these things listed here. So it allows people to walk or bike or take mass transit if they want to go somewhere. It uses renewable energy sources. It recycles and purifies the water in the area. It uses energy and matter resources efficiently. It helps to prevent pollution. It recycles, reduces, and reuses, and it protects biodiversity. those would be the goals of these eco cities or these green cities. And it's an important thing to try to focus on as we think about how we want cities to look in the future. And somebody has to be in charge of these ideas. And so we have a lot of people that are urban planners, city planners, that are starting to take a look at this and how this looks in their world.